Well, finally, after months and months of waiting, Udyr finally dropped on PBE, and with it we got his voice lines. Now, normally one wouldn't think his voice lines would be that interesting. After all, Udyr is a character with a really good already established story. So what else could his voice reveal? Well, something interesting apparently. Just as a side note, Udyr's updated bio was already released too, so I will cover his new base story in a separate video. Just like I will cover the entire Star Guardian story in a separate video. Just like I will review the entire Star Guardian event in a separate video. Excuse me if I don't appear on camera today, I really need to catch up. Anyway, today we are not going to have a look at only at Udyr's base voice lines, but we will also go through the Spirit Guard Udyr's voice lines. Because remember, that skin is canon too. The base Udyr is his present version after all the stories already happened, but Spirit Guard Udyr is his version when he was training in Ionia with Lee Sin. So now, let's start with the base voice.
You cannot stay above it all, great Frostbringer. If the Freljord dies, it won't rise again.
Throughout his voice lines, Udyr has a couple of lines against Anivia, and there he is referencing how Anivia is dealing with Freljord on a higher level. If you go back to the reveal teaser, you may see that his Cryo Phoenix stance was held at a greater value than the other demigods. To me, this may be teasing that when Udyr is released on live servers, just like it usually happens, he will get a new short story, and there it is likely he will meet Anivia, because he wanted to calm his thoughts after Volibear started corrupting his mind. So Anivia might be the one who helped him do that.
The Freljord would die in your hands, Ash, broken beyond repair.
Here it is interesting to see that he is actually aggressive against Ash. Of course he is with the Winter's Claw, which is Ash's main rival. But this probably boils down to the fact that Ash's tribe likes to herd animals. While in the Winter's Claw's eyes, survival is all about uniting with the wild.
Thousands of spirits, screaming, silenced, warped. What are you?
First of all, the subtitle is wrong, it's supposed to say warped. But more importantly, primarily, I believe he got this voice line because Bel'Veth is also a jungler. So because Udyr and Bel'Veth would meet in the game often when invading each other, Riot gave them an introduction. But also, don't forget, in the last couple of Freljordian stories, it was teased that some void activity may rise in the Freljord. So perhaps this is a preparation for the future.
I have missed you, Lee. Let our spirits melt. Let us spar.
And this is the interesting new reveal. You know, there are a couple of lines that suggest that while Udyr was in Ionia, Udyr and Lee Sin might have been together. I say might, but wait for the other lines.
Weapons are often the tools of cowards, great forger.
This line is interesting because obviously the Winter's Claw is on Volibear's side. Even though they don't really like the Volibear, they just respect its ways. And one of its ways is that people should be united with the wilderness. They shouldn't be building houses and they shouldn't be making tools. And in their eyes, weapons could be seen as tools. But the Winter's Claw are still using them. So Udyr, don't be a hypocrite. Ornn is still forging weapons for warriors.
Sejuani, do not make me your enemy, please!
This is an interesting line. First of all, this is a line in the scenario where Udyr and Sejuani are against each other in the game. But here's the deal. Many of you, just like Sejuani, may not know that Udyr is her father. Udyr used to be with Kalkia, who is Sejuani's mother. But then his shamanistic side called and he left them. Kalkia never talked about Udyr, so Sejuani never learned that Udyr is her father. And so, in this voice line, even though Udyr is Sejuani's shaman, she doesn't know his real value. And so he's begging her not to be thrown away.
Stay out of my mind, thousand-pierced bear!
And of course, yes, the Volibear tried to corrupt Udyr's mind. And in the Silence for the Damned story, Udyr was almost twisted by Volibear into one of the Ursine monsters.
With your death, Ash, the true ice will not melt.
This one is interesting. Because for the longest time there has been the theory that Lysandra was using the Iceborn as supplies of true ice so that the Watchers could stay frozen. One could think this is what Udyr is referencing here. But you need to remember, Udyr sees the Ice Witch as her enemy, so this is most likely more of a poetic line about Ash's death.
A great beast has been felled without proper rites.
Remember, Udyr is still a shaman, and so he is respecting the spirits of the wild. So when you are jungling as Udyr, you're killing monsters even though Udyr doesn't really want to. Killing a beast in the Freljord without eating it or using it to its fullest potential is a waste after all. And Freljordians don't do that.
My most worthy and most beloved opponent.
And again, here comes Lee Sin. Now, as I mentioned, Udyr is Sejuani's father. He was with Kalkia. But he is also throwing some hints towards Lee Sin. So Udyr might be into both. Which is not surprising because in a lot of regions around Runeterra, people just don't care about genders. This world is about survival. I don't think they care who they survive with.
Forgive me, Kalkia. I swore to protect your Sejuani.
And that's your line about Kalkia. As I mentioned, Udyr is her father, and as you can see, he swore Kalkia he would protect her, even though Sejuani has no idea.
I close my mind to you, great Valhir.
And in case you don't know, Valhir is an ancient Freljordian name for Volibear.
This thing has no spirit. It is empty.
This line is also cool because we know that the void is the opposite of reality. And while reality is riddled with magic, which is often connected to a soul, the void doesn't have that. So of course, if Baron is a pure void spawn, he would have no spirit.
This cavern is not your home, dragon. Why defend it?
I wonder if this is referencing that originally elemental dragons come from Ishtal. And even though we don't really know where the Summoner's Rift is, or if it even canonically exists, it is probably not around Ishtal.
This form, her prison. Let me help you, Rift Herald.
This is also a cool line because there was always the theory that Rift Herald is a corrupted version of the Rift Scuddler. And now, Udyr seems to be confirming it.
We smell blood on the air. A feast awaits. I feel her need to protect the nest. Alone, proud, feeling happy.
All of these lines are referencing something interesting. As the Spirit Walker, Udyr has the ability to sense the feelings of the animals around him. That's why when he's around the wolf camp he feels more aggressive, and then when he's around the raptors he wants to protect everyone.
Kalkia helped me find myself. Lee helped me claim myself. Both good lessons.
So here you can see that Kalkia helped him follow his shamanistic needs, even though she really didn't intend that, and she was actually angry when Udyr left. And after Udyr's mind was consumed by the wild spirits, Lee Sin helped him claim his old self. And again, this is teasing that Udyr played for both sides.
My power deepened after a meal from that old woman. Almost feels like a Seal Sister tale.
This line is directly referencing the newest part in Udyr's bio. Long story short, he went to a shamanistic meeting, and there an old lady fed him some bread and salt. And while, as it is quoted in the story, Udyr didn't realize it, it was actually a disguised Seal Sister who gave him her blessing.
The Winter's Claw remembers the beast I once was. What I nearly did.
This is a reference to the Silence of the Damned story. There, Udyr's mind was almost broken by the Volibear, but Sejuani's presence helped him break from the blood frenzy.
I see the world through the eyes of those I channel.
And this is referencing what I mentioned. Udyr has the ability to read the minds of the animals around him. In fact, he doesn't really choose to do that. The animals just get into his head.
Fallow Fox keep you. Not yet, Fallow Fox.
You may also notice that in a couple of his lines, Udyr is referencing a fallow fox. This is highly likely the Freljordian version of death. So while in other regions they may use the lamp and the wolf, in the Freljord they are most likely using a fox.
Twice I have loved, twice I have left.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him. He loved twice. So yes, this confirmed the ship. Udyr and Lee Sin were together.
Creatures of the Freljord walk in the footprints of the demigods.
This may be teasing a world-building theory that has been around for a while. If you dig into the lore, you may notice that a lot of the animals are actually shaped after demigods. And this doesn't go only for the Freljord. The same goes for something like Targon, where you have the phoenix-like celestial demigods, but also the small mortal birds that look exactly the same. The theory goes that animals on Runeterra are shaped after specific demigods. And it seems like Udyr is teasing it is the truth.
The Iron Boar holds a grudge against the Fallow One.
Now that's interesting. We know the Iron Boar is one of the main primal demigods. For example, the Iron Boar was worshipped by Tryndamere's tribe. But since the Fallow Fox is the symbol of death, I now wonder if the Iron Boar is the symbol of life. Maybe the reason why Tryndamere did not die after Aatrox stabbed him was not just the blood magic of the Darkin. Maybe the Iron Boar had something to do with it. But that was the most important lines from the base version. So now let's quickly go through some of the more important lines in Spirit Guard Udyr. Which once again, this is what Udyr looked like when he was in Ionia, helping Lee Sin defend Ionia from the Noxian invasion.
Lee, my spirit, we shall show them true mastery.
Yes, again, there is no doubt about this now.
Return Sejuani to me, Valhir, or I will take her with claw and fang.
And here he is talking about the fact that Sejuani had to approach the Ursine and ask the Volibear for help with dealing with the Avarosans. But of course, Udyr knows what the Volibear can do to people, so naturally Udyr would like to protect Sejuani from the Volibear.
You've learned much, Karma. Next time, you'll know even more.
This is a cool reference to the fact that Karma is not Karma. The person we see is Dara. Karma is the spirit of Ionia who possessed the body. And when Dara dies, Karma will just find a new body and continue the cycle with the experience of everyone who came before.
We train well together, Lee. We are good for each other.
Again, there is a lot of lines with Udyr and Lee Sin.
I walk the trail blazed by the dragon.
By this, he is likely referencing what he learned from Lee Sin, because while these two were together, Lee Sin was learning how to control the dragon fire inside him.
A little happier than I'm used to.
Again, he can sense the animals around him.
I will liberate you from this prison, Herald. They twisted your spirit, Herald, but I will set it free.
And again, this is teasing the fact that the Herald is actually corrupted Scuttlecrab. And yes, as you can see, Spirit Guard has a lot of lines similar to the base version. So we will skip most of these.
Lee, my spirit, our mastery will be our victory.
And again, what more can I say?
I feel you clawing at my mind, Valhir, but you will never take me.
This is an awesome response to the Volibear from the more calm Udyr. Here you can see how Udyr is at peace, which we know now will change once he returns to Freljord.
Names hold power. Many spirits have trusted me with theirs.
This is such a cool world-building line. If you know the lore around Ionia, you know that it is dealing with demons. And you may also know that if you know the real name of a demon, you hold the power to control it. So in Ionia, knowing true names holds a lot of value. But the rest of the lines after this one are pretty much just all about Udyr talking about peace and how to control spirits. So that is it for Udyr's voice lines. I am very happy with these because they do reference some really interesting cool facts around both Ionia and the Freljord. And they even throw in some new information like the one with the Seal Sister. and Lee Sin. So if I learned anything from these, it's that people will probably be confused because the bear stance is both his Q and his E, and also that any ship can sail. I am worried.